Okay, so we are meeting today for a very important purpose. Of course, we shall be studying a topic, but before that, I want to have some discussion about the questions I shared with you. But remember, this is not the final list of questions. As the topics progress, the list would become longer and longer. But it's not a bad idea to have a recap, to go in the memory lane, because most of the topics, most of the questions I have listed, which I sent to you via discussion forum, we have actually found, we have discussed their answers already in the classroom. So it's not a bad idea to have some kind of chit chat about them. The first question, which is, what do you mean by economics from the point of view of multiple schools of thought? So how do you define economics? It's a very basic question. What exactly is economics? And how do you define it from the multiple perspectives? Not only multiple perspectives, but at the same time, they are conflicting perspectives. Okay? And I remember last week, Paulina, she asked me this question, even though it was not, last week was not meant for this purpose, but we had good discussion about it. But not a bad idea. If we can have a quick recap, we will not spend that much time as we did last week, but somebody can wrap up quickly what is expected out of you in this answer. Define economics from the multiple perspective, multiple schools of thought. Well, Paulina, can you? Because you asked me this question last week. So. Mm-hmm. Different quarters here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if I, yeah, William or either you, any of you can do. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a business science. Yeah, I see your point, and I like it. I like this kind of categorization. Very good. Uh-huh. Let's stick to the first question, which is this. What do you mean by, just to forewarn you, I hate this word warning of any kind. I'm ultra liberal person. I like to be, and at the same time, I hate when I impose any kind of restriction on you. But please be careful. There are three kind of answers. Wrong answer, not right answer, and right answer. Do you get my point? Very often we write not wrong answer. Nothing wrong with that, but that's not the right answer. So what I want to say is that one thing you should learn in this whole program is that be very sharp, terse, to the point. When I use the word, William, I'll come to you. When I say the word different schools of thought, I'm not asking your opinions. Let's be frank. I'm asking the different established school of thought. And if you look at the different established school of thought, these are At least three are here. The first is very, very greedy and unacceptable, very, very predatory kind of school of thought. Hey, money is everything, wealth is everything. Who care about humans? Humans are not meant for consideration. It's the wealth that we consider more. And this definition was given by somebody, remember? The father of economics, Adam Smith. This definition has no room in the modern welfare state. And the second school of thought was when we move from, we swap, we give more importance to man now rather than to the wealth. And this is kind of a welfare oriented definition where the man is primary, wealth is not a master, but a servant. All the materialities and all the wealth and everything is meant to support you to make your life better, but not to dethrone you, not to put you off. Given the choice between man, I shouldn't sound sexist, the humans and the wealth, humans will be getting priority over that straight away. No debate about it. And this definition was given by a very famous scholar, Alfred Marshall, right? And then the next school of thought is about scarcity. Economics is a science of scarcity. And who is the spearhead, who is the leader of this group of this school of thought? Robbins. Robbins say, hey, please don't fight who is important and who is not. See the reality. The reality is that there are unlimited wants and there are limited means to fulfill them. Let's create a system, a mechanism, an environment, an ecosystem whereby these scarce resources are used in such a manner that we have the maximum productivity and the minimum wastage. And this is the science of scarcity. So they make the science of scarcity, no matter how abundant a country is, but a country has no future if the amount of wastage is huge. So therefore, it's very important that you should be able to, and this is a related concept with this idea that there is some scarcity or the production possibility curve and the opportunity cost, but I'll come to those points later on. And then we have some modern definitions. For example, economics focus on welfare, future productivity, sustainable development. And one modern thing which I added to the list, if you remember, was dash, dash, dash. What was that? Economics of technology, the way technology is, spreading, the way it's getting so much profound impact on businesses and economic system is of technology, Look at, we are having online banks, not just online banking, but the whole banking system is getting, kind of online in the sense that you might not see some banks, you might see some banks in the future which have basically 1 or 2 employees and everything is automated. All right. There are some bad and good things about that we can discuss later on. But the point I'm trying to make is that we are heading to a new era of economics thought evolution that from for wealth oriented to human oriented to scarcity oriented to welfare oriented to technology oriented. So we are evolving. Our economic life is evolving. I think this is how you should answer. Well, I shouldn't be sounding very regimental, But if I use the word, if I say, please define economics according to your own opinions, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions about economics? Then you can say it's a very open-ended discussion. But read the question carefully. The question says, define economics as per various schools of thought, the established, the groups of scholars. That is called schools of thought. And according to that, we can have at least 4 schools of thought. There can be more, but I think 4 are more visible and more prominent. Is it fine? William, you want to contribute something? Yeah? No? Okay. And then the second one was, what is the relationship of economics with the following disciplines? Political science, which means basically study of politics, sociology, psychology, and history. Now, this is the question which I deliberately didn't answer. I only answered this question in the discussion, but I didn't make any slide for this on purpose, purposefully, because I want that this is something which you should get some ideas based on our discussion that we have in the class. For some things, for example, history, I have always been very, very vocal in the class that never forget the history, right? Because if we forget the history, we shall make the same historical mistakes, which actually we do, right? So despite the fact that history is there, we still make historical mistakes. Now imagine if there's no history. So I want to get your ideas, your thoughts. What do you think is economics connections with politics? How are economics concerned with politics? William, you have something? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. That's true. And even historically, if you remember, I shared with you that if you look at very classical universities in the world, you will find that, for example, all these classical universities can be found in the UK, not in America anymore, but in the United Kingdom, you can see very old-fashioned the university system. And in many universities, study of politics is automatically part of study of economics. For example, the famous London School of Economics and Political Science. So they treat, and if you remember the family tree, remember I showed you, it was political economy. So historically, economics and politics have always been hand in glove, rather only one component. And then eventually they broke down into 2 separate, distinguishable segments. Mm-hmm. But even now, you can see how important are politicians or the political system which determine your economics. Can you visualize an economic system which is free from political interventions? The very fact that you have a finance minister, you have the industry minister, you have ministry of all these is a fact that is a proof that the state, the political system, they always hobnobbing with the economic setup. So politics have a lot of role to play. Remember we discussed about 2 policies, if you remember, monetary and fiscal policy. Do you still remember? The state has 2 remote controls. One is the monetary policy, changing supply of money, more and less. The second one is the fiscal policy, about tax, debt, etc. And all these things are coming from the government, the political system. Okay? So politics have a lot of role to play in economics. Sociology, the study of society. Sociology is a study of society. So how society and economics are interconnected. Why not? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Mm. Mhm. Very true. Very true. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Very right. Very right. So, because economics is a social science, and sociology, the name suggests it's a social science. So, how can we segregate them? Economics is not something where you add two parts of hydrogen and one of oxygen, and using some catalyst you make water. No, you are dealing with the human beings. All right. So you have to take into account the behavioral, as you mentioned the word, I like it. If I have to underline so far discussion, behavioral, the behavior, the human behavior reflects in the economic activities. The kind of person you are in the society would also signify on your economic activities. We never live in compartmentalized life. We live a cohesive life. Yeah. So the kind of human behavior you have, the kind of your society, your attitude, your culture, your backdrop, your surroundings, your upbringing, all these factors can play an important role upon you as a human being. And that is also reflecting in terms of your economic behavior. How can you be a very conservative human being and take very daring decisions in your economic life? You are living in a society where you are protected by the state through different defense mechanism, your health, your welfare, your dignity. All right. So then your behavior in the economic life would be different. When you get unemployed, you are not all is lost, because you know that the state would be protecting you. In a different system, you can be earning huge amount of salary, but you know what? You're living in a society where the social protection network is almost absent. And the psychological cost of becoming bankrupt or unemployed is massive, because you know that except your own savings in the bank account, which will melt soon because of there's no protective network, there's no other system where you can be protected. I have, this is my sixth country where I'm working, and I will not name that country, but I've been in one country where people are delaying having kids because they know that both parents will not get maternity or the paternity leave for more than 2 weeks. And sending kids, which is a 2-week-old child, to a daycare, first of all, is not acceptable. And secondly, is so much expensive that probably they would have no savings after paying for the daycare. On the other hand, you have societies where all these things are taken for granted. You know that there is a state, there's a nanny, which state like nanny or nanny like state, which would be taking care of all these things. All right. So the kind of society you live in have a very visible impact on your economic life. So we can't discount for social factors. The third thing, sorry, anybody else want to contribute about? Yes, Alexander. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We cannot. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why he also brought into discussion psychological issues as well, which is more about your behavioral things, your attitude, your aptitude, how you express yourself in the society. Mhm. History, I think we discussed many, many times. Okay. I will not go into that, but I think you have good discussion, and everything you discussed so far is relevant and is very appropriate. But one suggestion I would give you that it will be a good idea to give some examples as well. So when you're answering something and you think that your ideas are clear, but maybe you can substantiate your answers with some suitable examples, why not? Mm-hmm. Third question, which explain the concept of production possibility curve, the PPC. Yeah. Yes, William. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As a matter of fact, your PPC, this concept is concerned about the science of scarcity, that you have the limited resources. And with the limited resources, for example, I can show you. Why are we? Like, for example, this curve. Now, imagine you are living in a country. Well, I can only take two-dimensional picture. So this is your production possibility curve. This red curve is a PPC, the production possibility curve, which shows the different combinations of two products which you can produce with the given amount of resources. Now imagine we are living in a country where we can only produce clothing and food. So with the given amount of resources, you can either have only food, no clothing, or you can have only clothing, no food. And then you can have in between various combinations of food and clothing. As you move from X to Y, what happens? When you move from X to Y, you definitely have more clothing, but don't forget, you are giving up food. All right? So when you move from X to Y, you can't have the same amount of food and more clothing. Yeah? But what you have is, to get more clothing, you have to give up food. And this is exactly called opportunity cost. The opportunity cost, you have 2 hours at your disposal. Do you want to have economics lecture, or do you want to go to the theater? So it's up to you. So there is a opportunity cost. So the cost of having extra clothing is the amount of food you give up. That is called the concept of opportunity cost. So I explained 2 things in one concept. Paulina, you want to say? No, it's the amount of production. Amount of production. Yeah. Yeah. The resources are given. With the given amount of resources, you are producing food and clothing. I would rather say, I would not count them in money. I would count as the real resources. What type of resources you have in an economy? Money is a how to say, money is a mirror. Yes, means resources. Yeah. Land. Yeah. In economics, in any economy, we have land. Yeah. What do you mean by land in economics? Yes, that is also land. So yeah, very right, Faika. We have a guest, Faika, today. She would be joining us, hopefully, for the rest of the semester. You're right. Land in economics is defined as anything on the surface, above the surface, and beneath the surface. So land includes anything which is on the land, so-called land, but also sky, and also in the crest of the earth underneath. And land also includes the oceans, waters, and everything. That is land. And then we have labor. What do you think is labor in economics? All kind of human inputs available. And labor doesn't mean that only the blue collar jobs, everything. So even if you can be the prime minister of a country, in economics, you are doing labor. So labor is all those human capabilities, resources available for a country. Land, labor. The third is capital. Capital. What is capital? In economics, not in finance. There's a financial capital and there's an economic capital. All the, look, the nature made man, yeah? And then man also made some tools, instruments, equipments, hammer, sickle, nails, shovels, factory machine, right? All of them, sawmill, lumber mill, all of them are the capital, right? I gave you a disclaimer that don't mix capital with the share capital, with the stocks and these kind of things. No, that's financial. But in economics, capital means all those resources which can determine the productivity of the humans. Now imagine you are a farmer, right? You're a farmer and you don't have the plowing machine. You don't have a tractor. Would you dig up the land with your nails? But when you have these agricultural machinery, your productivity can go immensely high, right? And by the way, who made the tractor? The humans. So the farmer is a labor, and the tractor which he's using is the capital, right? And the last factor is what? Enterprise. There is labor, there is land, there is capital. How to coordinate them, how to put them in one, how to make some kind of cooperation and coordination between them. Otherwise, it would be economic indiscipline, isn't? We need to coordinate these activities. Then we need the enterprise. Enterprise is the one who coordinates everything. Okay? Yeah, so this is all about the production possibility curve. And one more thing, you can see here, point V. The point V here is the suboptimal point. It's not a point of efficiency. It's not the point of efficiency. It means that at V, you could increase the production of both food and clothing. And since your production system is not so good, not so sophisticated, hence you are wasting resources, right? In economic system, when you are wasting your resources, it's I will not hesitate in saying it's a crime. A resource not utilized properly is equal to a resource wasted. So here we are at suboptimal economic point, and all these points on the red line, you can have infinite combinations of food and clothing, but all of them are telling at least one story, that you are making the optimum utilization of your resources. So all these points are efficient. Anything below this red line is inefficient. And anything above this red line is not feasible because your resources don't allow you to go. All right. And for this, you have to innovate more resources. They can be natural resources. They can be man-made resources. Like we were having discussion about the role of technology is now getting more and more fascinated and so much deep into that is also a resource. So the automation process will hopefully push this curve upwards or maybe downwards. Who knows? So this is where the innovation comes. Those societies which are innovative, this red line goes outwards. So the progressive societies, they go outwards, and the regressive societies come inwards. So this production possibility curve also tells you whether we are progressing or we are regressing. Okay? Hopefully we progress. You never know. Paulina, you want to say something? Yeah, because. Okay. Anybody else want to say something about this production possibility curve? We can come back if you have some more points. The next one is microeconomics. Explain the concept of microeconomics, Felix. Just single company. Individual units. Yeah, individual units. What do you mean by? Can you elaborate more? Somebody? What do you mean by individual units? Somebody else. Remember, I told you that I can use my veto power. And today is the high time to use my veto power. Yes, you. The lady before, William. Yes, yeah, sorry. Yes, yeah. Yeah, yeah, very right. When the unit of analysis is an individual unit, if I see let's put it this way, if I want to see your performance, academic performance, right? I can see your academic performance as individuals. How many grades Alan has taken, or how many grades different students have taken. But if I want to judge your group performance, somebody can say, hey, let's compare the group of students we had in 2018 with the one we had in 2016. Then I would be aggregating the performance of all those students in 2 different years and compare them. That's not micro, that's macro comparison. Macro is collection, aggregation, summing up the individual units. In micro, we take the smallest unit of analysis. The class is a macro unit. Then you make some group assignments, 3, 4. You can also have the paired assignments, 2 of you, but that's not micro unit. The micro unit is you as an individual. One company, one student, one firm, etc. If I say Nokia is doing not so good job, is a micro analysis. If I say IT industry is not doing good job, it's a macro analysis, because the IT industry would be including many companies, in other companies, plus Nokia as well. So, okay. And we also find some conflicts between micro and macro. Yes. Very true. Very true. It depends on what we are studying. You're right. Micro and macro are quite comparative terms. It depends on what is the. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So in that case, your study would be within Nokia. So you're not going beyond Nokia. It depends upon what you want to study. It could be different, but most likely Nokia would be a micro because it's a single company. But remember one rule of thumb, that if your unit of analysis, let's say you want to study the performance of different firms in Finland, then your unit of analysis would be firms. So each firm is a micro unit. And if you want to study the comparative, if your thesis topic is the comparison between different industries in Finland, all right, then the industry would be a micro unit, even though by definition, industry is a group of firms, all right? But you must know that what should be your unit of analysis. And also, as I said, there could be some conflicts between the units of analysis. Something is good in micro sense, but the same thing can be horrible in macro sense. Now imagine if you are saving money from your salary, it's a good thing, isn't? But if your savings are increasing, last month you saved 100 euros, this month you save 200 euros, so it shows that you are doing a good job. But the problem is that if your savings are increasing at the macro level, it shows that we are consuming less. And if we are consuming less, it means that we are heading towards recession. Because what is the most visible outcome? If you want to see that this is the economy in recession, which is the most visible sign of recession? Sorry? Not consumption. People are not consuming things. Whereas if you want to see the inflationary situation, there's an overconsumption of goods. But the most visible sign of recession is that people are consuming less and they are saving more. Not saving more because they are capable of saving more, because they're scared of the future. That is why, even though they need to consume something, they would rather save it out of fear phobia. So the same thing, saving, is a good sign in microeconomics, but saving can be a bad sign in macroeconomics. So remember that the same phenomena could be interpreted differently in both micro and macroeconomics. Well, I think I have answered macro as well. The next thing is, what is positive economics? Yeah. In macro. Mm-hmm. 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 Very true, very true. These are good examples of macro. But if you have to give a one-liner definition of micro, in microeconomics, we study the economic, no, in micro, we study the economic pattern or behavior of one individual unit, which could be an individual human being or a firm or whatever. Whereas in macroeconomics, macroeconomics is a science of aggregation. We aggregate. We are grouping you. We are adding you up, not as an individual, but as a collection of individuals. Like society is a macroeconomic. When I say, you know what, our society don't approve these things. In many cultures, we say that a culture doesn't let these things happen. It's a macro phenomena, not micro. There would be some people in that society who don't do those, who don't accept those social norms, but they are micro. Mm-hmm. So micro, macro, it's interesting. Now I would be putting together positive economics and normative economics. Anybody in the back row about positive economics? What do you think about What do you think is positive economics? Remember, today I have the veto power and I feel my hands are itching to use my veto power today. I can be horrible at times. Positive economics. Hedy, I'll come to you if nobody else answers. Positive. Yes, there you go. So the threat works. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You say the way they are. You say the things the way they are. You don't sound very moralistic in that case. That is positive economics. You're right, actually. You are only describing things. I normally use this metaphor that when you talk about economics, positive economics, you behave like a news reporter. But when you talk about the normative economics, you sound like a news analyst. You get my point? So when you're a reporter, you say that, you know what, this thing has happened in Uvascula, or this thing has not happened. There has been a lot of snow in Uvascula. So you are telling what is happening. It's a positive economics. The normative economics will be, there is snow in Uvascula. Unfortunately, the city council is not prepared to have this surprise snow spell. And probably the city council should borrow more snow tractors so that the roads can be clarified, could be cleared. Now here you are sounding suggestive, recommendatory. You are giving some kind of message or appeal. This is not positive economics. This is normative economics. You see the data of Nokia and you find that the profits of Nokia in this quarter has gone down by 25%. They have actually. Okay. Now this is a normative. This is the statement. But when you say that the Nokia's profits have gone down by 25%, I suggest that the Nokia should be spending more on R&D and getting more innovative, and they should also improve their efficiencies. I think Nokia should do this thing, that thing, and give all kind of opinions. Then you sound like a normative economist. It's a very moralistic thing. It's a value based. So you don't want the value to go down. So you are becoming more suggestive. It's fine, FICA? Sorry? The science is a positive economics. Yeah. Very objective, very objective. Yeah. Yes. So you can see science is a good example of positivity. There is nothing, no other interpretation, right? Whereas in the social sciences, there's always a room for making some, like for example, if a company's debt is going up, you can say that, you know what, Nokia is borrowing a lot of money. Now, I want you to decode this statement first in the bad sense and second in the good sense. And the statement is, if I'm a positive economist, I would say Nokia's borrowings are increasing. That's it. But now, you people, this is a task for you now, behave like normative economists and make interpretations out of it. You can interpret it positively and negatively based on your suggestions. Your time starts now. If a company is borrowing huge amount of money, for example, let's say, let some more hands show up. You can start. side. Mhm. Very right. Very right. Very right. So the one negative connotation of more borrowings of Nokia is that the first statement is that Nokia is borrowing huge amount of money. Yeah. So you are making an opinion. So yeah. So Nokia has not, God forbid, become bankrupt. But he's saying what he's saying is that this can be interpreted negatively. That Nokia is borrowing. Perhaps Nokia will not be able to pay back, and eventually this can harm the future of Nokia, right? Any good idea about Nokia's borrowings? You want to say something good, Felix? Very right. Look at the startups. Uh, can you launch your startup without borrowing? It's literally impossible. So if there's no borrowing, if borrowing so bad, your idea would only remain an idea. But if you want to mature it, you have to go to some financial institution and ask them that, hey, this is my idea, and please. And if they accept it, they give you loan, invest. So the same thing could be interpreted in the bad way and in the good way. So this is, now you both are sounding normative economist. The same fact, but you make two opposite interpretations. Explain the concept of scarcity. I will not do it now. I did it before. Opportunity cost, we have done it. Uh, Diminishing marginal utility. We have done it in the class. Explain the concept of diminishing marginal utility. I can actually show it to you. Utility, right? Diminishing marginal utility. And then we have this example. This example is very close to my heart. Hmm? For the very obvious reasons. Hmm? Diminishing marginal utility. Huh, Paika? You want to give example? Yes, you can, of course. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. We ultimately say no more. Our hunger is satisfied. We no more hungry. Yeah, yeah. You quench your thirst. You have uh, you reach the point of satisfaction. Hmm? Hmm? Even though my example was a little bit more revolutionary, but anyways, it stands. Hey, I want to have some discussion about Paulina. Yes, quickly. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 Very right. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Somebody else this side in this quadrant, in the last four rows. Hmm? I can see a gentleman smiling in the corner. You, yes, I'm. I'm referring to you. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, yeah. Uh, Now, listen carefully. We know that the wants are unlimited. In one textbook, I read that wants are like Hydra snake. You know Hydra snake? The Hydra snake has 100 heads, I think. It's a in mythology, something. It's not real. And the legends say that you kill one head, the new one come. The wants are like this. Some wants are very intense, and you think that once it's fulfilled, I think I would never have it again. But you have it again. The wants are recurring, more like recurring in nature. They come in cycles and cycles. Even though the wants are unlimited and the means are limited, but believe me, if you look at the want at a micro level, they are satiable. They can be satisfied. All right. So there is a possibility that a want at a time can be fully satisfied. But as you start going towards fulfilling your wants, means that you start consuming something, the amount of satisfaction which you get is more, the most, when you consume the first unit. But as you go in the process, you can see that the second point is giving you less satisfaction, third is giving you less, fourth, fifth, sixth. Ultimately, we say that, hey, no more food or no more drinks. And if you still continue, you may fall sick, which means that there is a negative contribution to your satisfaction. So there is a diminishing marginal utility concept that the individual wants can be fully satisfied, if not all of them, but at least at the micro level, we are in a position to satisfy them. Okay. Now I want to ask you something. Does law of marginal utility apply to money? You get more money, you get one big briefcase full of suitcase rather, full of stashed money, and then you have another one, and then you say, eventually say, you know what, no more money, I have plenty of money. Do we do like this? Hmm? Doesn't work. So we have one scholar who's saying that the law of DMU, diminishing marginal utility, is not applicable to money. You think it applies or not? Can you say it more? Okay, FICA. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. 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 Very, very right. Very right. Do does somebody agree with FICA that the law of diminishing marginal utility uh, it does apply on money as well? Apparently, it doesn't. I fully agree with you. Apparently, more you have, more you want. But the point is that if you dig deeper, do you find that the law actually applies on money as well? William, do you have a opposite? Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. You become used to of it. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Micah. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's very interesting discussion. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to, at the risk of sounding cynical, uh, imagine that two persons. One is a millionaire, and the second person is just like hand to mouth, kind of very basic lifestyle. And both have lost €1 coin. Both of them have lost €1 coin. Hmm? Who would be showing more desperation to, or angry? Oh gosh, I've lost €1. Come on, I could have bought this thing, that thing. Who you think would be visibly furious? Why would he be furious? Hmm. So he attached more marginal utility to that lost coin. What about the other rich man? Hmm. Yes, very true, very true. I think that's a very good explanation. You can also argue that you can have some millionaire who would be very angry as well if they lost. But in that case, they are irrational consumers. And in economics, we only study normal human beings. So this is a very abnormal behavior that you are a rich person and you lost €1 and you have, as if the hell has broken loose on you. If that is a behavior, there is not, it's not a very normal behavior, considering that you are a very rich person. But if you show like that, then we will not include you in the study of economics because we only take the normal human beings in economics. Well, Uncle Scrooge is a fictitious character, so that's why he's not in economics. Yes, anybody else? Yes, Alexander. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, no, because then we have to find the real value of the money, not the face value, but the real value. The real value may change as well. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yes, Paulina. To the low scarcity. Well, you can try to apply it. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes, I fully agree with you. Yeah, good point. So, as we have been discussing so far, never shy away from giving examples. That will make my life easy to check your scripts. Okay. So if you make my life easy, I'll give you good grades. But if you make my life complicated, then I would be, you know what I mean? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But we also consider the other characteristic like that goes to society or behavior side, that even if you lost 10%, you may not be so much angry and desperate, but somebody who lost 1%, one coin lost makes 1%, could be more angry. That also relate to the behavioral side. uh, mhm, so that makes you the millionaire, or doesn't make. Mm. Well, it's difficult to answer. Yeah. Okay, we go to the next one quickly. The law of demand. Oh, sorry, the consumer surplus is very important. What do you mean by consumer surplus? And I remember we had a lot of discussion about consumer surplus once upon a time. It was here, I guess. There we go. Yeah, consumer surplus. Yes. Mhm. We always, when we go to buy something, we always have a notional, uh, theoretical price in our mind, which may not be the actual price. And if the actual price you end up paying is less than what you were willing to pay, the difference between them is called consumer surplus, right? I think I gave you an example that you're traveling from Helsinki to Jyväskylä airport. You haven't booked a taxi. So first of all, you're worried that there'll be hardly any taxi at the airport, snowy night, and you are prepared mentally that, hey, I think I have to go to my apartment soonish. I can't stay in the chilly night. Um, Come what may, I want to have a taxi, and even if it takes 100 euros, I'm willing to pay. But then suddenly, when you come out of airport and you find that there's one taxi free, and you ask this cab driver, "Would you take me to the city center, and how much would you charge?" And he says, "Well, I take 40 euros. I take 40 euros." Or if somebody is letting you share the taxi, and you end up uh, being in your apartment, safe and sound, warm and cozy, by paying 50 euros, whereas you were prepared to pay 100 euros for this adventure. So there's always a price in your head before. It's like a pre-consumption price, but the post-consumption price is less. And the difference is called consumer surplus. It can be negative also. It could be that you were prepared to pay 5 euros for something and you end up paying 20 euros. Then the consumer surplus could be negative. But there is always, even if you go for shopping, you want to buy some shirt for yourself and you are prepared for, okay, 50 euros, and you find that there is some sale and the prices are slashed, you can buy the same shirt for 20 euros. So you end up having some surplus. That is the consumer surplus. And here, for example, this line, if you see, it's a marginal utility curve. Look at this curve. Do you agree that this curve should be downward sloping? Well, you should agree with me because you have seen this example that the marginal utility, more you consume, the extra satisfaction goes down. So when you plot this curve here, and let's say you are consuming OQ1 amount, then the price which you are willing to pay is this picture, this whole, I don't know what this shape is called, but O, Q1, this one, this one. So this whole picture is the price you're willing to pay, but the price which you pay is this much. Then this extra thing is your consumer surplus. Okay, so this is the amount of money which you are prepared to pay, but what you pay is this much. Then this triangle slice on top of this picture will be called consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is a difference between the price you are willing to pay. Like, for example, let me put this example in the business sense. You are a company making chemical products, and you are getting, your strategic input is oil, the crude oil. And until last night, the crude oil was $100 a barrel. The next day, the crude oil falls to $60 a barrel. So overnight, nothing changed in your mind. You're still willing to pay $100 a barrel, but next day you see the price, the crude oil price goes to 60. Well, it's a bonanza, isn't it? It's a jackpot. Something you were prepared to pay 100 because that's the practice until yesterday, but today you pay 60. It's a good surprise for you. It's a pleasant news. So your consumer surplus would be 100 minus 60, $40 per barrel. And if you multiply it with the number of barrels you buy, that would show your consumer surplus. Okay? And then we have the next one, explain the law of demand. They all go in the order, consumer surplus, and then followed by the law of demand. Can somebody tell me what is law of demand? Yes. Yes. Look at this picture, yeah? This is demand curve, but you can see MU as well, yeah? MU is marginal utility. So what does it show? The more you consume, the marginal utility goes down, all right? Or more you will buy if the price is cheaper. So basically, marginal utility is reflective of demand. Look, now this is very strange. Demand, you demand or you don't demand. It's a reality, it's a fact. Marginal utility is a psychological phenomena, isn't it? It's a state of mind. Hey, I want to have one more piece of bread, or I don't want to have it. It's your behavior, is it? But when you see the demand, it's a reality. So this is how the behavior and your actual behavior, your conceived behavior and your actual action are connected. Marginal utility is something which gives you extra satisfaction for the extra amount of consumption. And demand is that you demand less when the price is more, and you demand more when the price is less. See how conveniently I could convert this picture of MU, sorry. Until now, I was calling it only MU, right? And from here onwards, I start calling it demand. Because when do I get MU? When I consume. And when I consume, it becomes demand. So you are right. You very well connected these two things. Demand curve. Yes, Faika. Yeah, that is the supply side. supply. So we have this. I'll come to this point later. But can somebody define law of demand? I want to hear some kind of definition or some kind of academic words about law of demand. Who should I force to answer? Somebody here in the fourth row? No? What is law of demand? We'll take a break now. When we come back, we shall discuss law of demand, and I would still ask somebody there about law of demand. Okay? So we have a 15 minutes break session. So in between, you can Google or do whatever to know what is law of demand. Okay? So see you shortly. 15 minutes.